Hi, and welcome to this week's episode. Today we're going to be chatting about trait or gate 10, which is behavior of the self. Now, in the world around us, the word authenticity gets thrown around a fair bit, and this particular trait is really the full embodiment of what authenticity means. It is ultimately coming to a place of full self-acceptance. Actually, full self-love. And once someone can totally accept and love themselves, they can be the most authentic version of themselves because there's acceptance there. There's a surrendering into behaving uniquely as the being that you're here to be. And so this has a wonderful potential for transformation for everything and everyone around us, because let's be honest, we all can kind of have this fantasy of this world where everyone is self-aware and is deeply connected into self-love and self-acceptance, and that they're operating from a place of correctness, correct behavior as themselves. And what would that world look like? So if you have the 10th trait or gate in your design, or it's currently active at the moment, so you're going to feel this energy, it's an opportunity for you really to dive into deep surrendering of self-love and acceptance. Now, in my own personal experience around the journey into self-love, I can tell you that when you can come to some, it doesn't have to be every moment of every day, but some windows into what full love of self feels like, it is so empowering. And one of the biggest qualities or keynotes of this particular trait is self-empowerment. When we self-empower ourselves, when we are connected to the truth of who we are, when we love ourselves deeply and without any judgment or needing to be any different, is when we can really take leaps and bounds in whatever area we're working in or living in. Because while we don't have self-love in our lives, there's judgment, there's filtering, there's conditioning, there's all these things that are essentially standing in the way of us really being aligned to who we are. And I would encourage everyone to really embrace the energy that you're going to feel in this week and to experience it, even if it's for a few moments. What is true self-love all about? One of the great exercises that I can highly recommend is looking at yourself in a mirror. Can you stare deeply into your eyes? Can you stare into your soul and look at yourself with full love, full acceptance, not needing to be any different than what you are? And that includes all the little bits and pieces on your face, like how big is your nose or how small it is, and how far apart are your eyebrows, and all these weird judgments that we make about ourselves based on the world that we've grown up in. And when we can stare deeply into our eyes and have this deep love for ourselves, there's something, it's kind of like a fire inside us that lights up, and you can almost feel invincible in some ways. Not that you're here to do any malice to those around you, but just a sense of being so lit up from the inside to be who you are and to fulfill this purpose, or to enact this puzzle piece that you're here in terms of the larger whole. Like, what are you really here to do? If you can come to a place of self-love, this is going to be so much easier for you. It's going to be so much more in flow, because when you're in acceptance and deep surrendering of self-love of yourself, it's so much easier to be in alignment. And so if you have this trait as part of your design, it's a wonderful opportunity for you to really know what it means. Like, what behavior do you demonstrate into the world that really reflects the self-love that you have for yourself? Because when you can embrace that, not only do you see behavior in the world around you that's, whoa, something's going on here, this doesn't, something's not quite right. There's a mismatch between behavior and the self. this behavior of the self, when we're in this place of self-love, has this potential to deeply impact and move humanity forward. And if you have this trait in your design, then this is part of what you're here to do. It's part of, being able to live as yourself and inspire or set a role model for those around you of like, this is what it looks like, so that others can follow. Now, in the human design and BG5 system, we have either profiles or public roles. And those give us some insights into part of how we're here to be, how the behavior that is part of our life purpose or our life work. So, for example, you might be a 1-3 or a 3-5 or a 5-3 or a 1-4 or a 2-4 or a 4-6. So all of these numbers, they essentially point to a role, a type of behavior that is part of who you are and how your behavior is meant to be in this world. And this 10th gate or trait is where those roles come from. And so the 10th gate holds the keys in many ways for us understanding the type of behavior, the type of role that we're here to play in this life. And by playing that role, by following our decision-making strategy and being in alignment with that role and that behavior, it ultimately means that we get to live our purpose. We get to be aligned with our purpose. For some of us, we may kind of know our purpose, or it might be eluding us. But as part of this particular system, BG5 and human design, if you're living correctly as yourself, so i.e., you are following your decision-making strategy and you understand what your public role is and you are aligned to the behavior of that public role, ultimately you'll be aligned to your purpose. So there's these steps that come before which really help us to align to our purpose. And this is when we get to have this authenticity, to be authentically who we are and to live that out in this lifetime. And so it's extremely powerful energy for all of us to embrace at the moment. And we really get to express our unique behavior in these days. And so I'd encourage you to watch. Do you feel like you are being yourself? Do you feel like you're behaving as yourself? Or are you operating through a filter where you're trying to act or behave like you think the world wants you to behave or how you should behave? Are you following your decision-making strategy? Are you awake and aware in this now to, how much self-love you are embracing in your life, accepting, surrendering to? If you feel like you are really lost, like you don't know what your direction is and you don't know where you're going to find love in your life, then this is just the shadow. This is just the distraction that can really overwhelm that correct behavior. And so noticing if that there's this gnawing going on in your mind that's really going like, well, you're never going to know where you're going to go and you're never going to find self-love. You're never going to find any type of love in your life. When we can have correct behavior, and this is what people who have this 10th trait are all about this correct behavior, behaving as self. When we have correct behavior, we discover self-love. So I would pay attention to what is your public role in your human design and understanding what those are and being able to embody that in this life and dive into this space of self-love and see where that takes you. If you've got any questions or comments or would like to share some of your personal experiences of the energy that's happening this week, then please pop your comments below. And each week, it's every couple of days when the gates and the traits change, I post a new video so that you can follow along and see what's happening, what's the influence, what's the non-verbal broadcasting signal that's coming to me from the world around me. And when you can see the dynamics of how it works, it just really helps us to align more and more to our specific and unique design. And when we can live successfully through that, we get to really experience the the most ultimate flow of life in this particular life. I hope you've enjoyed this. My name's Lynda Gaiao, and I will chat to you again soon. Bye for now.